Hi friends! I'm really excited this week. I've had this idea for a long time and I'm finally getting around to doing it. Thrift store makeovers are a thing, and I've done a couple of them, but I wanted to find the ugliest things that I could at the thrift store and see if I could make them over into something cute. So I'm starting with this cow. It's probably not the absolute ugliest thing I've ever seen, but it's pretty weird looking. I especially hate this different size wood slice thing that it's got going on, and this really gross looking tail. Oh, it also came with a little friend. Ugh. So let's get to work on prepping this thing. First, I'm gonna remove that price sticker. Then dispose of our arachnid friend.
Goodbye.
And get rid of this nasty tail. Maybe. It's really stuck on there. Finally. I'm sanding off that leftover glue from the tail, and then sanding the rest of the cow because the wood is a little rough, and I want a smooth base to paint on later. To get into the little crevices, I use this little sanding stick. And there are a lot of little crevices. After all that sanding, this thing was pretty gross, so I wiped it down with a damp paper towel. Ugh. I hope that's mostly paint. Here's where we're at now. So next I'm going to try to do something about this weird, uneven body. For this, I'm going to try some air dry clay. I'm not using that same kind of clay I've used in the past. That stuff didn't end well for me. This stuff is some cheap kids brand of air dry clay. I thought this might be easier because it seems softer and it also sort of sticks to itself. It kind of has the consistency of putty. I used it to fill and smooth out the transition between the layers. I wasn't confident in my clay skills enough to just cover the whole thing and mold a new body. After I got the shape how I wanted it, I dipped my finger in a little bit of water to smooth it out more. It's still not super smooth, but since cows aren't super smooth looking either, I wasn't too worried about it. I had quite a bit of clay left over, and I didn't want to waste it, so I crafted a little headpiece for my friend. Now this clay is kind of weird. Even when it's fully dry, it's still a little soft. I'm trying to show on camera that it still has a little give, but it's not really reading very well. To me, this feels sort of like foam. It's stiff, but still a little squishy. This will still work for what I need, it's just not what I was expecting. There's a few rough spots where I left fingerprints of clay, and I also want to smooth out the top of this tail. Oh yeah, I added a tail off camera. I sanded these spots down very gently to clean this up. And now that it's sanded and clean, it's time for a base coat, or 4, to cover all of this clay and leftover paint. I'm going to cook up a really light pink, because this cow is going to be a strawberry milk cow. I know, it's not the most original idea, but I don't care. I love strawberry milk, and pink is my favorite color. Plus I didn't have any better ideas. After the first 2 coats, I wasn't really feeling this pink, so I lightened it even more. And that looks so much better. It's almost exactly the same.
Huh?
Now that that's done, I'm going to go over a few areas where I made a mess with the white paint. I'm not trying to completely cover up this pink paint, I just want to make it easier to cover later with the light colored paint I'm going to use. I colored the horns and the udder with paint markers. I'm a little confused why a cow has horns and an udder, but apparently that can happen. To get into these really tiny little areas, I had to get a little creative. I dabbed some paint into a little palette and used a tiny paintbrush to get into those crevices. For this weird waddle thing, I'm gonna try to make it into a bell. I don't know what it was actually supposed to be, but cows wear bells. I don't think this really worked. It doesn't look like a bell. It looks like a bad superhero symbol. Moving on to the spots. And I'm excited to do these. These are what will really make it look like a cow. I also colored the little hairs on his tail. I knew I was going to use this exact Posca for the spots, so I specifically mixed a warmer pink for the body. But when I went to color in the hooves, the fuchsia color just didn't look right. It's too blue. So once it dried, I had to go back over it with black. Next, it's time for the face. He's going to be looking up because he's still got that headpiece that I made. In order to paint this, I jabbed a little toothpick into it. And because this clay is soft, it went in really easy. After a quick base coat, I painted it a nice strawberry color, because this is obviously a strawberry. I don't think I actually tricked anybody there. Now, why does he have a strawberry headpiece? Because strawberry milk cows eat strawberries. That's how the milk gets strawberry flavored. And they need really big strawberries to feed them. And this cow got a little too enthusiastic with vines, and one fell on his head. That's the actual story. It's absolutely not the only way I could show that he was a strawberry milk cow. I don't know the proper glue to secure foamy clay strawberries to a painted wooden cow, so let's go with industrial glue. After letting it dry overnight, I decided to add a little strawberry sauce to cover up the gaps and the shiny glue. I'm going to use fabric paint, and I miraculously had some that matched the strawberry. No, really, I didn't know I had this at all. I was fully prepared to have to custom mix some. I've never used fabric paint to do this kind of thing, and it's a little harder to work with than I expected. Mostly it's just thicker and less self-smoothing, but I think I got most of the lumps out. After letting all of this dry for about 3 days, I was ready to varnish it, and I'm praying to the varnish gods that this doesn't get messed up. Success! Here it is all done. I actually really love this. He's so cute. Something about his little cross eyes staring up at that strawberry just make me so happy. So what do you think? Should I do more ugly thrift flips? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.